They just needed to be rocked out.
Grace. I printed it out.
Woo! That is a new song.
That's a new song.
That's the new single, yeah.
For you, if you read through these lines, can you say what was the starting point of the song?
Well, looking back on it, it was around the time of the big earthquake down in Haiti. And I remember seeing a lot of those images that came out, you know, very, very powerful, very tragic. But then there were a few where it was either maybe a family or a mother and a child, you know, that just the way they captured the image gave you a sense of, in the midst of this destruction, was some kind of hope, some kind of beauty in that, even though it was very difficult to, you know, to pick it out amongst all the tragedy. And so what I started to feel into the song was I'd like to put that in to words, you know, and because it really moved me. And so I started to kind of play with the idea of, you know, spending a little time in a situation or in a, you know, that could be like that, or what it would be like, you know. It'd be easy to sort of give up hope. And but yet there's still grace. There's still something, even in the midst of a dark time, that, you know, we can pick up on and move forward with. And so,
What was the first line? Do you still recall the first line you wrote?
yeah, just a metaphor, spending a little time spending on the front lines, you know, metaphor of being in, you know, a situation that is difficult, or, you know, trying to put myself into a place where, you know, that would be difficult or tragedy, kind of, yeah.
When did you start recording this album? Do you?
Started the writing process early last year, and then went to Austin in the fall. Was it September? Did like a 2-week session in Austin, got most of the songs, and then, well, that was with the C.J. Erickson period, which ended up being about 10 of the songs on the record. And then I produced 2 songs, Grace and a song called Stand, which is brand new. I just kind of got it in there last minute with Greg Wattenberg. So 2 producers, mostly C.J. Erickson.
Okay. This is for you. Well, what is the? You were saying that that your fans they say there's a certain freshness that they thought that
Yeah.
that was lacking on the previous live albums. Can you say what sort of themes, if you, well, there's been 12 songs now on the album, can you say what certain themes do you touch on?
Well, I think that the overall feel of the record is really inspirational. But at the same time, it's got a dark kind of edge or an intensity about it that really a lot of people are, you know, kind of reminiscing about, you know, the sort of Distance to Here era of live in like 1998 or so, and the way that I'm singing, the way that I'm delivering. And so that makes me feel good, because you hope as an artist when you're growing that, you know, yeah, you're gonna, over a long period, go through periods where you might not have access to that for whatever you're going through personally, but to have that resurface, you know, is not something you can really plan. It just sort of happens because the circumstances come together for it to happen. And so they're definitely feeling that and letting me know.
Can you say, well, if you look back on that time frame and compare it to this time frame, is it true for you that you feel the same way now? Can you?
Well, I think it was just a process of moving on, you know, opening a new chapter. There was a sort of freshness, kind of a little bit of a, wow, this is new territory, you know, I'm going to be playing with new people, bringing new musicians in. I have to say that when, you know, I put these songs together, I thought, well, I've done some really good songs, let's see what happens, and went into the studio really not knowing, you know, Rami Antun, you know, my drummer. I met him in the studio, and he's in the band as well. And he really interpreted the songs in terms of drums that in a way that I wasn't expecting, which was really creative and really energetic. So that we kind of built from there, and then into the bass and guitars, and kept the record really raw. But the songs were good enough that they didn't need a lot of production. They didn't, you know, it was like they just needed to be rocked out, and these guys did a good job.